Hi everyone, my name is Laura and I'm a polyglot who studies 5 languages. And this is my channel Languages with Laura, where I discuss language learning tips as well as traveling. Today's video is going to be a guide to airports, my tips, my tricks, and my essentials for traveling in airports. So I grew up doing a lot of traveling by car, a lot of road trips around the United States, but recently, in the past few years, I've done a lot of international travel on planes, and I have learned so much about what to do, what not to do in airports, what to wear, what not to wear, and even though I have come up with quite a list of things that I want to share with you, I am always still learning and still figuring things out. I love watching other people in airports, what they wear, and watching other videos. So if you have any tips or tricks that aren't mentioned in this video, feel free to leave them down below for anyone who might be traveling soon, who needs some encouragement of what should they bring, what should they leave at home, and what should they wear to an airport. So first off, we're going to start with some of my airport essentials. What are things that I need to have at an airport? Now, a lot of these essentials are things I make sure I have in my carry-on rather than in my checked luggage. I did do a pack with me video for my upcoming summer trip, so you can feel free to check that video out as well. I will have it linked up above and probably down below. But that trip is special because I'm only taking a carry-on versus other times when I've traveled, I will do a checked bag and then a carry-on. But no matter which way you're traveling, if you have a long flight or multiple flights like I will have this summer, these are some things that I need to have readily accessible either at the top of my carry-on, in my personal item bag, or just very easy for me to access. Number one, obviously, is going to be my passport and plane tickets, any sort of paper I may need. If we still need to have vaccination cards, which we're kind of right at the end of that, but I still want to have it on me just in case. But any sort of paper thing that you need has to be very close on my person, either in my jacket pocket, which is on the inside of my jacket, so that I don't have to worry about it. I know it's right on me, or even in my partner's fanny pack. My partner wears a fanny pack every time we travel, and I love to tease them about it, but really, it is probably one of the smartest decisions you can do. It's right there in front of you. You don't have to worry about it getting pickpocketed. You don't have to worry about going through your backpack and which pocket did you put it in? Did it fall to the bottom? But having it right there in a fanny pack is such a great idea. So a lot of times I do also give my passport to my partner to put in the fanny pack if I don't have it on my person. Number two, have your phone charger. I feel like a lot of us remember to pack the phone charger, but you're probably actually going to want it in an easily accessible place for you to charge your phone in the airport before you get on a plane. However, along with that, I would highly encourage you, if you have a battery pack, that would be another great thing to have along with you, because there have been a couple times where I was needing to charge my phone in the airport, but all of the outlets were taken up by other people or not even remotely close to my gate and didn't have a seat by it. So I didn't want to take the risk and be away from my gate for too long. So having a battery pack is a really good idea because, again, you can either use it in the airport if there isn't an outlet available, or you can charge it in the airport to use on the plane because you might not be able to charge your phone on the plane. And so if you plan on using your phone for podcasts, audiobooks, music, whatever, it's always a good idea to have a fully charged battery pack with you so you don't have to worry about it dying halfway through the flight. Now, another thing I'm going to piggyback off of that with, for number three, are headphones. Now, the other thing I will say with headphones, I like to bring 2 things of headphones, partially to have one and have a backup, but really I like to have Bluetooth headphones that I just wear myself. They're much more comfortable to deal with on the plane, like especially if I kind of have my eyes closed, I don't have to worry about getting tangled up in the cord. Or if I'm going on a long international flight having one with a cord, especially one from a previous flight, just in case we don't get headphones provided on the flight. I've always gotten headphones provided on the flights I'm on, but I would not be surprised if airlines started charging people for headphones rather than just providing them. So I always like to bring a backup pair in case I want to watch a movie or a TV show on the plane and they're gonna charge me for headphones. So I always like to have each along, especially because while I do love my Bluetooth headphones and I know that my neighbors won't hear whatever I'm listening to, so I don't have to worry about bothering them, they can also run out of battery life. So it is always a good idea to have a backup non-battery headphone. Number 4 are going to be mini toiletries. Now, when I travel, it's always nice to have like the mini versions of everything, and while hotels do sometimes and hostels do sometimes provide a lot of toiletry items, if I have a long flight, especially one that spans more than 12 hours, it's really nice to freshen up either in the airport or even on the plane, depending again on the length of the flight, to just be able to have the mini toothbrush, the kind that can break apart in the middle and go inside. I love those. I absolutely adore those. To have that and mini toothpaste, floss if you really need it, as well as hand sanitizer, lotion, chapstick, and a mini deodorant, just to make yourself feel fresh and alive and not like you look like a zombie. Another thing I will say, I personally don't really wear makeup at airports. I'm not trying to look my best when I have a long flight because I know no matter what, I am gonna look like a zombie. But if you do like wearing makeup, even if it's just a little concealer, maybe some mascara and eyebrow filler or blush, it's always a good idea to have makeup wipes on you. Whether you are just going to the airport with makeup on and then taking it off for the flight if you're gonna sleep on it and then reapply when you get to your destination, or if you have it on and maybe you rub your face or something, it's just always a good idea to, just in case, have a couple makeup wipes. Number 5, a pen. Whether or not you plan on using this pen for entertainment on the flight, like if you want to bring a notebook or whatever, that doesn't matter. But if you're traveling internationally, especially if you're going somewhere you haven't been before, sometimes they will hand out customs form for you to fill out on the plane before you get to your destination. Hello, this is Donatella. She will not be traveling with us, but apparently she wanted to join. And it's always a good idea to have a pen on you because whenever I'm handed a customs form, I'm never handed a pen, which is fine because there are a lot of people on the plane and that would be a lot of pens, which might also be a really good marketing idea for the airplane, just saying. But anyway, it's always nice to have your own trusty pen that you know is gonna work so you can fill out that customs paper so you don't have to go asking around, or you don't have to wait to get into the airport and then try and like lean up against the wall or fill it out on your leg to try and complete your customs form. So just when you have a tray table in front of you, pull out your trusty pen, get your forms filled out. Number 6, it's always a good idea to have a water bottle on you. Just make sure that before you go through security that it is empty, because they will not take kindly to any liquids in security. Even if it's just water, they can't trust that. So make sure your water bottle is empty, but you can fill it up at a drinking fountain or even in the bathroom. But most airports have drinking fountains that you can fill up your water bottle in. And then that way you don't have to pay a bunch of water on the flight and you can have it with you for the whole flight rather than just waiting for service to start, especially if they have like the little cups and then you just drain it all in one gulp. Number 7, cash. Always have cash. I like to have a little bit of each cash, a little bit of my home country cash, just mostly for coming back, but also try and exchange your money before you go, just because exchange rates in airports can be absolutely atrocious, and then when you leave the airport, you just never know what kind of exchange rates you are going to find. So we always say just go to a bank and exchange your cash. So it's always a good idea to have a decent chunk of cash, not too much that it's a huge target, obviously, but enough cash that you're at the airport, you need transportation to where you're going next. Make sure that you can pay in cash to get there or to get a snack or whatever, but just have cash, because even taxi drivers, they can't take card, and you might not be able to do electronic payments like Venmo or PayPal or Cash App. So it's just a good idea, just to be safe. And then my last airport essential, the last thing I always have to have, no matter what flight it is, if it's international or even if it's a 45-minute flight within my own country, I need fuzzy socks. Okay? Airplanes are cold. They're always cold. They're as comfortable as they can be. But reality is, I need fuzzy socks to keep my feet warm, to keep my feet comfortable. Fuzzy socks all the way. One thing I will say though is that I'm pretty much making my parents do this, although I think I should do this, but also having compression socks would probably be a very good idea. Those can help with your blood flow and prevent some pretty nasty things that can happen. So if you're a first-time traveler, I would recommend compression socks. Like I said, my parents are coming with us for the first little trip of our journey, and I am making them wear compression socks because they have not really traveled much and they are about to retire. So I just don't want them to have any issues. I want them to be comfortable. So you can put on compression socks and then put your fuzzy socks over top of that. It's fine. It works. It's nice. Now let's get on to the second part of this video where I'm going to discuss some of my airport hacks or tips to just keep in mind when you're preparing to go to the airport. I've already mentioned compression socks and fuzzy socks are great things to wear. You want to make sure that you're comfortable for the airport. I have had it where my flight has been delayed, which means I did not have near as much time to get to my connecting flight in the next airport. And I've had it where I need to run across an airport because not only was my flight delayed, but they also changed my gate to be on the other side of the airport. So like I said, I've had it where I have needed to book it across an airport to get to my next flight. And for that, you need good shoes. Now, I would never wish this to happen on anyone. I certainly hope it never happens to you in your flights, but I've had enough scares of this needing to happen that I will never wear bad shoes in an airport. And I mean, I will never wear heels. I will never wear flip-flops. I will never wear shoes that I can't run in. Again, hopefully this doesn't happen to you. But also on the reverse side of that, unless you don't have a lot of space and you need to wear your heaviest shoes, like I have had to wear my hiking boots just because they took up too much space in my backpack, but shoes that you can easily slip on and off. Hiking boots, not really, unless you keep them very loose, which is actually what I did. I just had them very loose so I could take them off pretty quickly and just slide my feet back in. But reality is, Converse, I will have my laces very loose on Converse or just like tennis shoes that you can slip on and off that are pretty well worn. Honestly, well-worn tennis shoes are probably the perfect thing because like I said, you can slip them on and off for security, but you can also run in them and be comfortable and not have to worry about your footwear in any way. My second recommendation, again with what you're wearing, do not wear a ton of jewelry. Don't even wear a belt. This is why I wear sweatpants or leggings, because if I wear jeans, I need to wear a belt. And if I wear a belt, I'm gonna have to take it off for security, and then it's just another element that makes it take a while to go through security, to get dressed afterwards. Like, anytime that I feel like after I go through security, I have to redress myself, I know I'm not wearing a good outfit for the airport. So no belt, no necklaces, very little jewelry. I like studs. I can sleep in studs, but if you're not someone who can sleep in studs, either consider not wearing earrings or wearing the little huggies so that it's comfortable to sleep in, but it won't set off any metal detectors. With rings, I typically only wear my wedding ring. Everything else I try and keep in my checked bag or in my carry-on just so that I don't have to deal with that or anything. Most of the time, rings are so small that they won't actually set off the alarms, But just to be extra safe, especially again, if you're going through security on your way home and you're not familiar with the language or that much of the culture, it's just best to not test your luck and just wear minimal jewelry, if any at all. Otherwise, yes, I always wear some sort of jacket or warm element on the plane. I always wear long pants or even a long skirt if you would rather, just because the planes are always cold. Airports are also typically pretty well air conditioned, even in the summer. If you're someone who runs warm and it's the middle of summer, the plane is gonna be cold. So I always say bring a jacket, that way you can take it off if you do get warm. But yeah, hats are always fine. I mean, I'm not a big hat wearer. I've got a couple of beanies, which can actually be really nice on the plane, either for a little extra cushion, or if someone's watching TV and it's a little distracting, or if the person next to me has a light on because they're reading or whatever, that's totally fine. But if you need darkness and you don't like face masks, or they don't hand out face masks on the plane, it's always nice to have a beanie to just pull over your eyes so that you can fall asleep. So if you're gonna wear a hat, I always suggest a beanie because of that, but it's really up to you. Hats aren't a hindrance. They can help contain your hair if you have long hair, but also it's not like you need a hat. I will say, I used to have really long hair when I started traveling, and so I would always put it in a braid or two braids. That way it was comfy no matter how I had my head. I could fall asleep and not have to worry about, like, if my hair was in a bun, oh, it's uncomfortable, or in a ponytail, it's uncomfortable. Now that my hair is short though, I typically don't do anything with it, or if I do, it's just a little half up, half down so that I can still sleep, but then I don't have my hair in my face and I prevent it from tangling. But for long hair, I definitely recommend doing some sort of hairstyle that is going to be comfortable to sleep in, but then also keeps your hair up so it doesn't get tangly from just sitting and kind of moving around just a little bit in the chair. You can bring a mini hairbrush as part of your mini toiletries, but I always try to avoid it just because it's another thing to pack in my limited space. My next suggestion for preparing for airports is to download your entertainment. You can either do this at home, you can do it in an airport, but sometimes airport Wi-Fi is really slow, or especially if there are a ton of people on it, it might not work super great. So before you go to the airport, I always recommend download your music, download your podcasts. My audiobooks automatically download onto my phone, which is amazing. So I don't have to worry about downloading all those audiobooks, so that I don't need to use the Wi-Fi. I can have my phone on airplane mode and I don't have to worry about entertainment on the plane, especially because I am such a big audiobook and podcast listener. So just having them downloaded beforehand at my own Wi-Fi without having to use data is really nice. So I always recommend doing that even before you go to the airport, just to be prepared with your entertainment. And then my last and final tip for airports and planes is to have all your information ready for customs. I like to make a note on my phone, or if it's not all physical papers, of all the information I need. A lot of times they ask for the address that you're going to be staying in, how long you're going to be there, identification numbers, all that kind of stuff. So just to be able to have a note on my phone, this is the address of the hotel I'm going to be staying at, you know, all my information in one spot so I can just easily copy it down rather than having to be like, oh shoot, I need to look for it, especially if you don't know your hotel's address or your Airbnb's address, and then you need to look on your phone and you're either going to have to use data or your phone is on airplane mode because you're on the plane. That can be such a pain, again, for waiting to like get into the airport, connect to Wi-Fi, look up your reservation, figure out the address. It's just always really nice to have that written down beforehand so you don't have to worry. Those are all of my essentials, tips, hacks, tricks, whatever you want to call it, just everything that I have to say about going to an airport or on a plane before you travel. I hope you found this video helpful, and I would love to know, comment down below if you're going to be traveling, what are some things you have learned from going on planes so that we can share this information with each other. Feel free to subscribe because I make videos about language learning and travel, and so if that's content you're interested in, feel free to subscribe. I post videos every other Monday. Otherwise, give this video a like. give it a thumbs up if you liked it. But until I see you all in the next video,